Good evening, everybody. Oh, I didn't even check to see what Facebook did after they announced. All right, we can see we're still in this slow meandering uptrend with the recent high right here, still trading up above that. But the stronger chart today was the fact that the NASDAQ, after trading below the low of the previous day on Friday, that was pretty ominous as far as the bears taking control. But when they gapped it up today and took it up, that kind of eliminated this and made it now more into a possible J-hook pattern. DJ, that's a question that we don't need to answer. All we have to do is watch to see what it is doing. Now, long positions, you definitely have your safety stops in place. How far is that? Is that where it's trading? Whoops. Oh, so it's up about in here. Okay. All right, we did our top ranked signals and patterns over the weekend. To point out one very strong element of the top ranked signals and patterns, which is if you have a bunch of good chart patterns, like 20, 30, 40 or more, how do you narrow it down to the best one or two? And that's basically using the strong signals and patterns. So you can see what happened right here on BEKE. There was your little best friend breakout. Implied there was going to be more upside, which is the same thing we saw today on SLI. Here's your best friend J-hook pattern setup. On MIME, there's your best friend, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 breaking through this resistance level, probably heading up into this range. So you can use that information of your strongest signals and patterns to definitely make hay while the sun shines. So very simple observation. If all boats are going to rise in a rising tide or an uptrending market, what we want to find is the ones that's taking advantage of that uptrend with the most strength. So we saw in Lucid today, there was your best friend kind of break out through this level. I would suspect, I hate that thing, I would suspect a test of this level. And if they go through there, now you got another wave to the upside. So this is a long answer to say where's OCGN now trading? If we're in an uptrend, we want to take advantage with the strongest price moves. So you can see LPI after the doji sandwich J-hook pattern breakout was working nicely. XPEV, there's your wave 1, wave 2, gap up wave 3. Myra, J-hook pattern with kind of a little gap up. All right, so it's trading, whoa, way up here. Was there news? An OCGN. All right, so we've got the capability of identifying which patterns or signals have the strongest upside. We also can see what setups are going to put us in those situations. Ear had a fry pan bottom breakout. Then it pulled back. Okay, is who eating a pool of, okay. All right, thank you, DJ. So when you recognize a pattern, and then you know what can happen at the end of the pattern, like a whipsaw action, I bought more calls as soon as we started seeing this trade positive today, because now you've got that possibility of a stick sandwich type setup, which would be a very strong move, again, coming out of the fry pan bottom. So I'm trying to see, and nothing great here other than it's trading way up here. All right. So the T line also is a very effective indicator. You can see what happened here on CLSK. Two ways to have traded this. One, if you stopped there right here, you're buying back here. Two, if you held on to it because it didn't close below the T line, the fact it needed to open positive and trade positive, which is exactly what it did. Is 3 inside days a signal? 3 inside days, which one were you referring to, Nick? If you were referring to something like this, those, oh, on ear, 3 inside days. You wouldn't call those inside days. But it is telling you exactly what's happening. Breakout, sell off, and then the breakout going back to confirmation. A fry pan bottom looks like a fry pan bottom. You look for the breakout. Now, do the breakouts immediately go up? Not necessarily. However, we know there's a breakout, so there's not an unusual circumstance to see a whipsaw action, and then it takes off. So I'd still be a buyer of ear on positive trading tomorrow. This is why we want to know what the pattern results are. Look at our fry pan bottom, look at our message. And then what do we look for on a message? That's profit taking. But what was the message? They wanted to get in with great enthusiasm, and then there was profit taking. So what do we look for? The profit taking to be over, and that message of great enthusiasm. That's when you can be buying with the expectation this is probably going to be in a 45 degree. Hut was another one that backed off last week. So if you closed it out, you could have been buying it back today, continuing this uptrend. All right. Thank you, Tom. Oscar. You can see the scoop type pattern. You stay long on this, anticipating that if they can break out through there, you've got the slingshot effect to the upside. And net is one that just keeps right on going. Look at your scoop type pattern, then your little best friend gap up, and you might have taken profits right here. But notice what happened on the bearish Harami. They didn't really confirm it the next day. And then this candle right here kind of negated any of the selling of the bearish Harami. You stay long on this. Where would you enter HUT? When price went over prior day's high? Yeah, not so much. I mean, that doesn't need to be a real refined analysis. All you really have to see is they gapped this up, back up above the T-line and started trading positive. You could have been buying anywhere in here today because what was it telling you? They were staying above the T-line. Now, I point this one out because a lot of people were following HUT. If you weren't following it, you probably wouldn't have paid any attention to this because it wouldn't have given you, if you weren't following it, there wouldn't have been anything until the end of the day when you did your scans that you would have found that big price move. QuantumScape. I was telling the options room that I held on to calls even though it looked bad yesterday because of one major factor. Look where they sold it off to, right smack dab to the 50. So what was my trading program today, or my trading strategy? Well, if they had opened this lower and started trading lower, I would have closed it out. It had to open positive and trade positive to stay in it. Well, this is, again, not a reversal signal, but the magnitude of today's move kind of implies there's going to be more upside to this one. Now, not like a reversal signal, but it just tells us we want to stay long right now and then watch to see what happens once you get to the first potential resistance levels. Upworks, you can see the setup here. This is putting this one into a classification of a high probability trade setup. You can see the J hook. You can see the doji. Where did the doji occur? Right there. The green line is the 3 exponential moving average. We call it the 3T line. It just kind of confirms or works in conjunction with the T line. Thank you, Will. All right. So, but if they open this positive and start trading positive, especially going into the earnings, that's a pretty good indication that somebody that knows a lot more than we do are buying it, obviously going into the earnings. Now, here is a kicker signal that you have to be a little bit cautious of. It's not because there was a change of news that would change the outlook of this company. It was just an upgrade from a brokerage firm saying they now think this one's worth $44. So when it's an upgrade, remember what an upgrade or a downgrade does. All it does is create an imbalance of imbalance of supply and demand based upon the people that are following that brokerage firm or that analyst coming in to buy or sell. And it's not as powerful as if they announced something that was changing the whole investor perspective of that company. So when I see a kicker signal and I see it's an upgrade, I'm probably going to trade it a lot quicker and come out of it on the first signs of selling. SPWR. There's your bobble breakout. Still working nicely. Billy was a little bit of trouble. You can see how it's rolling over. We started closing out calls over the last couple of days last week. because you were in the overbought area and you were starting to see some selling. As far as stock, you can stay long. As far as the calls, which we're getting pretty close to expiration, you close it out and find something that has better probabilities to it. On the short side, I think it's the short side, this is kind of observe the obvious. They failed at the 50. They closed below the T-line. Today, shorts did not execute. However, if this opens lower tomorrow, with your stochastics heading down, what can you anticipate? A bearish doji sandwich. That gives you that doji rule, doji sandwich, bearish doji sandwich, where you could be shorting it with the anticipation that the candle is going to be the same magnitude as that candle, bringing you down here, at least providing a good probability that you're heading in that direction, with the idea that you've got a good percentage move also built into that price. Oh. And here's a signal that you always want to pay attention to. Shooting star, doji, they traded it up, so it was a good up trade. But then what happened? They came back down through the open and closed in this direction after your sell signals. That's a good indication that not only have they reversed it, but now you've got a bearish signal with a booster to it, meaning that upward shadow. That's what creates these strong down moves. So anytime you see a reversal with that booster to it, whether it's bullish or bearish, it's going to give you some extra strength in the next move. Las Vegas Sands. There is your left-right combo. There's your bearish engulfing, left-right combo, close below the T-line, bearish doji sandwich. You can still be shorting this one with the expectation they're at least coming down right into this range. And Winnebago. That's what I was looking for. The bigger the selling, the more compelling there's been investor sentiment or a strong indication of what the new sentiment is. Stay short on this one. But we did big C. Now the biggies, obviously the gorilla in the room today was Tesla. So what do you do with this if you own Tesla? You start watching your 10-minute chart. Why? Where do most people buy? They buy exuberantly at the top. So if this gets way up there tomorrow, I'd be flipping to my 10-minute chart and making sure, yes, Tesla is exuberance. Amazon, still having trouble. I wouldn't be afraid to be shorting this one on weakness tomorrow. Another bearish doji sandwich. Apple, kind of dead in the water. However, you notice that it did support right on the T-line in the 50. That gives you a little bit of additional clue to say, well, if they start trading this positive, you want to be buying, because they came up through the resistance level. They came right back. It acted as support. That means if they're buying, they're going up much higher levels. Bidu was another one that started to show a little bit of weakness. A gap up, remember, anytime you see that gap up doji in the overbought area, start paying attention to when the selling occurs. Then you kind of had a bearish left-right combo. We closed out our positions on this day, because if you see a left-right combo, you don't even really need confirmation. The probabilities are so strong that the selling has occurred. You close it out when you see the left-right combo, whereas most other candlestick signals, you want to see confirmation. Now, this may have only been selling back to the T-line, but we don't know that. Because they could have taken it down here. At least you knew the probabilities were that they were selling it off. And the other two biggies is Netflix, still acting well, and NVIDIA, still acting well. Acting well based upon, come on. Kind of a doji sandwich up through that resistance level. Okay. So we know crude oil is still, shooting star today. So that might be the first sign of weakness. Except notice you're still trading up above the 3T line. So the common sense analysis is if you're above the T line, you're still in an uptrend. If you're above the 3T line, you're still in a much more confirmed uptrend. BE, yeah, that's a kicker signal. That does have news that could produce a 45 degree. Versus this kicker signal, that might be just temporary supply and demand. Let's see, I was working on the oils. What was it did I do? Oh, LPI, doing the J-hook pattern. Occidental, doing a J-hook pattern, breaking out. That gives you the kind of the impression that wave 3 is now in progress. See what Apache was doing. Another one that could be bought on positive trading. And VET, another one that can be bought. So just common sense says if all the oils are being bought, they're probably being bought by the institutions because everything in that sector is moving across the board. That means there's a lot of buying going on. Cork, I would suspect your next target is somewhere up in this range. Because of the J-hook pattern. So what's even stronger than a J-hook pattern is obviously the bobble pattern. So things like this, PROG, if this opens positive, the bobble pattern is a much more defined or much more identifiable pattern because it's occurring at a level that everybody is watching. So there's your J-hook pattern, kind of bobble breakout. That's what we're explaining right now in these. A bobble is when they hit a resistance level and then they come back up through that resistance level. It's a J-hook pattern that has an observable resistance level. So notice they came up to the 50, did a bearish harame, sold off, and now you got a doji sandwich coming back up. So if you took the 50 out, you basically have a J-hook pattern. The only difference is everybody could see where they were selling it and where the breakout was. Now, whose handwriting is this? Okay. There's another potential bobble breakout. they open this positive tomorrow, your probability is extremely strong. You're going into wave 3. Let's see, we did these, your best friend signals. If they break this out through kind of this area, look for wave 3 on Lucid. Let's see, we did the kicker signals, we did J-hooks. So this is where you get much more clarity on a J-hook pattern. Let's get that out of the way. You can see where they supported. This is VMEO. Came up through the resistance level, pulled back right to the T-line, now coming back up. I would suspect wave 1, and notice how wave 1 started. There's your best friend signal. There's your J-hook pattern. IMAX, there's your J-hook pattern. It didn't confirm today. So where it would be a very good buy spot on this one? If they come back up through this level, you want to be buying because that's confirming your J-hook pattern. Pets, that's not so much a J-hook or a bobble breakout, MC, because you don't have a trend. Now, it is a breakout, but it wouldn't be what I'd consider as strong as one where you can see the trend came up, failed, and then went up. It's pretty much telling you you better start trading positive on this one to tell you that you're staying out of the breakout range. You're staying in the breakout range. So Freeport, also a nice J-hook pattern that closed above this level after kind of a doji positive trading off the T-line. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. All right, so there's still some very good charts out there. Again, the whole point of us having that top rank. Hold on, I gotta have a drink here. The whole point of having a top rank training was what pattern setups give you the highest probabilities of a strong price move. So you can see on POSH you have a fry pan bottom and it staying up above the 50. That's going to get a lot of attention. That's where the fry pan bottom breakout is likely to occur. And here we got on CTRA. Again, wave 1. Look what happens on these slow curves. Boom. Now you've got a bullish flutter kicker signal, which is one of your strongest signals. And what's it kind of forming with that bullish flutter kicker? The potential of a very strong up move, which again kind of insinuates that wave 3 will be in progress. There's your J-hook pattern on CHS. Where did it occur? Right smack dab off the 50. What can we assume? Let's see if there's something over here that we can assume. Well, there's a little gap right there. But wave 1, wave 3 should take you up testing this area. A bullish flutter kicker signal has got a very strong alert. Notice where this one opened here and closed here. Then they gapped it up above the previous day's open. Well, that's a pretty strong indication. However, all they did was did a doji. So what was the information that we were given? They gapped it up. What do we know about the doji? The doji rule says if they open this positive, they're going to trade positive, which they did. This becomes a bullish flutter kicker signal. Now, what's our strongest individual signal? A kicker signal. So if you took that little flutter out of here, you basically have a kicker signal. The difference between a kicker signal and a flutter kicker signal is if this had gapped up and ran strong, you'd have to scramble around and figure out, do I sell something to get in this, or do I have free money to buy? You don't have much time to plan. Whereas when you see this, you know exactly what to do if it opens positive the next day. You've already made your plans on what to do if it opens positive. There's kind of your double doji positive trading on CIFR. MQ, observe the obvious. They came up through the resistance level. They came right back to the resistance level, which is we're going to see if it's going to act as support, which it did. You definitely can be buying this one, especially with the anticipation that it was heading up here. And if it goes through there, you got a nice strong move. I don't know why Lev doesn't come up over here, but Lev is another one to look at. And I didn't do that one right. SKLZ, fry pan bottom, breakout. What confirmed the breakout? There's your doji sandwich. Look for more upside on this one. Hecla, there's kind of a doji gap up. Expected first target. Steel Dynamics, there's kind of your bobble breakout. There's your piercing signal belt hold telling you there was more upside. Now everybody sees that it's through the 50 with a, in our case, we can see the little slow curve bobble breakout. I would anticipate more upside on this one. And Indy, note the doji gap up through this resistance level. Now they've broken out through this level. Now, I don't know, did we recommend going back through? I meant to recommend this one. And I don't see it. But, simple lesson. If you see a strong buy, broke out with a best friend signal, the stochastic's coming up, okay, last Thursday, that if it opened positive and traded positive, you wanted to be buying, because what would it be doing? Breaking out through this level. Well, it failed. But what do we still have in our visual analysis? Everything. The stochastic's coming up, best friend breakout, it didn't confirm. So where becomes our strong entry point? Right there. If it comes back up through where they started taking some profits, that's still confirming this whole pattern. Where do you think this is now likely to go? You get rid of that. How do I get rid of that? Good probability it's coming back up to the top of this trend. And blue, look at your fry pan bottom, kind of a little cup and handle, get ready to buy this one on strength. TSEM, there's your double doji. Expect this one to come up to the top of the channel. And DK, observe the obvious. There's your J-hook pattern supporting right off the T-line. You can buy this one if it opens positive tomorrow. So all these are setups that tell us we can observe things that let us know what the pattern is, and if APPN opened positive tomorrow, it's going to break through, obviously. So here's that setup. You can see the left-right combo. You can see they're up above the T-line and the 50. You can see the fry pan bottom. You can see the doji day that's supported right here on the 50 T-line, which means if they open this positive tomorrow, giving you kind of a doji sandwich, breaking out, you want to be buying. There's your first target. That. So these are high probability trade setups that when you can see the pattern setting up and a signal that would confirm that pattern, that just gives you that much added credence, I guess, to say the bulls are taking control. Same scenario right here. Kind of a little bobble breakout of the 50. Where do these horizontal lines come from? If this opens positive, doing a doji sandwich, they're heading up here to that breakout area. All right, so on the short side, anytime you see this after a big, huge move, that means they're still taking profits, close out the trade. You can always buy it back if it comes back up through this level. But as long as it doesn't come up through that level, the probabilities say you want to be out of this trade. Now, why is this selling off? Because apparently it was just a rumor that's not true. So selling off pretty hard. And the rumor E, PayPal, still nothing there. ATHM, overbought condition, lots of indecision up here. Then your bearish left-right combo. Where do you think your first target is? Back down here to the 50-day moving average. ATER, there's that bearish booster signal. Shooting star, they open up positive and then go south. Now you got a bearish scoop pattern. And look what it did today. If this opens lower tomorrow, what do you got going on? A bearish doji sandwich taking you further on down. And why does it look like further on down? Because we see very strong sell signals. Mattel, you probably want to look to go short on this one because of your big bearish belt hold signal. If they open this lower, not holding the T-line and the 34, means they're coming back down into this range. BLDE, same thing. Look at your evening star type signal, failure at the 200. Now you've got a doji right here at the 50. But your stochastics are still kind of heading down. Makes this a very simple trade. If this opens lower tomorrow, what's it telling you about the 50? They're not supporting there. What type of signal are we looking at? A bearish doji sandwich. Also an excellent time to be going short. AMC, bearish harame, bearish doji sandwich. First target down here. Second target with that gap down could be all the way back down to the 200-day moving average. Anytime you see this, what's that bearish harame tell you at the 50? The buying has stopped. What's the best friend gap down tell you? They're probably coming back into this area. So why are we looking at short positions when the market's still heading up? Because the market's in the overhang and there's some indecision trading going on. So there's your evening star signal. There's your failure. There's your failure at the 50. If this opens lower tomorrow, more downside. EHC, evening star signal. What would that imply? Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, still heading down. And ULCC, anytime you see a big bullish candle, and then they gap it down and close near or at the previous day's open, close out the position. That's not showing any good bullish sentiment. Get out of the trade. Now, it's got a little bearish J-hook type pattern that closed below the 50. Where's the next target area? Back down here. So, again, you want to have some safety trades in, meaning there's some good short positions so that you're not 100% long. If this is starting to get a little bit dicey up here, maybe some profit taking, if it starts selling off, you want to have a few short positions in the portfolio. Okay, I think that's about all I got tonight. Are there any general questions on candlesticks? Can you explain the bobble pattern? The bobble is when they come up and they fail at a resistance level that you can see. They pull back usually to the T-line. Then they come back up to that resistance level. And when they trade positive from there, that means that resistance level is not acting as resistance. But we see it also as a J-hook pattern. So if you took that resistance level out, you'd have a J-hook pattern. So a bobble is just a more defined J-hook pattern. And the reason it's a little bit more powerful than just a mere J-hook pattern is because everybody that's watching this is watching to see what's happening at a major moving average. Came up, failed. Now it looks like it's coming back up through. We see it as a J-hook or a bobble breakout. If this opens positive, it's confirming our bobble breakout, but what's everybody else watching? They're watching the fact that it's going through the 200. They're all jumping in. Is the gold futures. Pretty much, yes. Not quite, because you want to see it exactly at that level, but it's close enough to say, yeah, worst case scenario, whether you want to call it a bobble or a J-hook pattern, it doesn't matter. See what silver's doing. Let's see, silver would have been more of a J-hook type pattern, because it did go through, then it pulled back and used the T-line and the 50 as support. So when it does that, where do you think your next target is? Either here or here. Should we hold on to selling? Should we hold on to selling if the sell signal bounces off? Oh. On QuantumScape, I held on to it because they have sold off hard. And I didn't close it out because I was doing other things. But when it was down here, the question would be, all right, did they just take it back down to a support level. Hold on. Did they just take it down to a support level to see if it was going to act as support? So at that point, what was my decision? Either they're going to support here or they're going to go through it. So why not wait another day? So what was my strategy? At that point, after seeing it supported at the 50 again, it had to open positive and trade positive. I'm unclear what the left-right combo is. A left-right combo is a bullish engulfing signal after a doji. I'm trying to think of which one had it. Whoops, that was a bullish flutter kicker signal. I'll try to find one. A bullish, it could be either a bullish engulfing, here's a left-right combo. Here's a doji followed by a bearish engulfing. So that is your bearish left-right combo. Now, if this was a bigger pattern, this would just be a bearish engulfing signal. But the fact that it's a left-right combo, or the fact that it's a doji followed by a left-right combo, remember, anytime you see a doji incorporated into a signal, it's usually going to act with more force after that day of indecision. What would your entry criteria for a bobble pattern, or for the pattern we ignore where the stochastics is? What would be our entry criteria for a bobble pattern? And for a pattern we ignore where the stochastics, yes. We're not trading stochastics, we're trading the pattern. So the fact that the stochastics are up here, remember on a pattern, that when a pattern breaks out, more than likely your stochastics are already up in the overbought area. Facebook, yes, that would be considered a bullish left-right combo, a doji followed by a bullish engulfing. A bobble and a T-line crunch difference. Well, they can be the same, but usually a T-line crunch is something that you see. I'd call this a T-line crunch, where the T-line, let's see, T-line crunch doesn't necessarily have to be a bobble. It could be a uptrend. I'm trying to think of one, but it stays above the T-line and crunches right into the, or crunches the price right up through the resistance level. Can we buy bullish call spread for Facebook since it supported the 200? Yeah, but you want to see what it does tomorrow. And see, it's trading up here. So that would probably be a good indication that would be time to be buying. And so if you don't want to be chasing after it, or you can't afford one of the calls on this stock, yeah, maybe a spread up here. Because if it bounces off the 200 the second time, where do you think the next target's going to be? Back up to the 50 at least. This, yeah, this would be a T-line crunch over here. Notice how they kept using the T-line to crunch right up through the resistance level of the 50. No, that's not so much a T-line crunch. Usually a T-line crunch is a consistently slow uptrend that pushes right through. This obviously is a very fast fry pan bottom breakout. All right, so I know some of you were in the training session this weekend. This is why it's important to identify which price moves have the that are moving in the right direction, but also have an excessive amount of strength to it. And that's what the best friend signal does for you. That's what the kicker signal does for you. That's what a fry pan bottom breakout does for you. So not only do you have a high probability that it's moving in the direction that you expect it to be moving, but the magnitude of the move will usually be much greater than just merely a slow uptrending price move. I understand how to use the T-line from the book you wrote, but how is... the 3T line is just kind of a further confirmation. It's got two ways to confirm. One, if you start moving too far away from the T-line itself, this one isn't good. Maybe this one is good. Well, see how you're starting to move too far away from the T-line? Now the 3T line will be, with that analysis, so you're too far away from the T-line, the 3T line becomes much more effective. I would doubt it. Now it could, but I would definitely be on guard to watch Tesla for a sell signal at some point. Now remember what happened the last time. I don't know whether we'll be able to find it. Is it that far back? There it is, right there. Now this must have been pre some splits, but you can see how to hold on to this. Now this was more exaggerated because I think at that time the price was closer to 1,000 right here. But you can see what happened. Big move away from the T-line. They gapped it up away from the T-line. So it was running up hundreds of points. So at this point, instead of it being 175, it was pre-split, so it was up toward 1,000. But a few of the people in the options room took profits up here because, one, there was the alert, and two, as soon as it started coming down through the 10-minute chart T-line, that was time to start taking profits. You can see where it ended, which was at that point 300 or 400 points from the high, and then you can see where it went from there. Still another few hundred points to the downside. So remember, where do most people buy? They buy exuberantly at the top. Just be careful. How do we say when a 40, usually a 45 degree is maybe like in here. You see a big move, not that far away from the T-line, then it goes into a 45 degree. Yeah, that doesn't really, let's take a gander. There's a weekly chart. Yeah, and I think somebody today, one of the talking heads, said they thought it was probably worth $1,200. So how long do you hold on to this one? I don't know what I just did there. Just remember, this has had a huge move. And no matter what everybody thinks, it could go to 1,200 or... Just remember, where do most people buy? They start buying exuberantly at the top. Okay, an OCGN. Which I'd bought it. I think today somebody asked, and I said, yeah, you could be buying it here. Well, I changed that. You should be buying it here. How's that? All right, Jim, let's go ahead and do the double line. All right, and in 3.2 seconds, do the next double line. All right, see who jumped ahead here. STX. No, that's just now broken out. You're not in the overbought area. I'd still be buying this one on positive trading with the expectation that if it went through this level, you got more upside. Remember, when they start gapping it up, look at your bullish engulfing, gap up, gap up. That means they're coming in with great enthusiasm or great strength. GH, there's your McMuffin. Morningstar signal, doji sandwich, another doji sandwich, implies more upside. See what it does when it gets to the 50. CPE, that's a nice looking chart. I thought I had that one written down. That's a good looking chart. Wouldn't be afraid to be buying that one. PTPI, this is a bullish flutter kicker signal. Notice your dark candle, then your gap up doji, and then the bullish confirmation. I wouldn't be afraid to be buying that one, especially now that it's, yes, so you buy that one on strength. What did I just do? AFRM, stay long, but you do have a little shooting star. Keep your safety stop just below the T-line. Cliffs, stay long. Look at your best friend breakout. Peloton. Another one that now you watch to see what happens here at the 50. You're just climbing into the overbought area, so you know everybody and their brother was watching to see what's happening here at the 50. Do the same. And Shake Shack. Stay short, but it did a bullish harami. If it opens positive tomorrow, I'd cover the short position. You can always re-short it. If it comes up, hits it, and starts back off again. Headhunter, doji sandwich breakout. Slow curve, still can be buying this one. Path, you can be buying this one. Obviously watch to see what happens once you get to the 50. Zoom, stay long, put a safety stop below the T-line. CCXI held up a little bit today. You can still be buying this. If you went long right here, stay long. Don't let it close back below the T-line. Don't even let it trade back below the T-line. This definitely needs to open positive and continue the uptrend. United Parcel, stay long, except you're done a doji in the overbought condition. I'd put a safety stop just below today's low. Starbucks, this is kind of a dull stock to trade. It's heading in the right direction. If you're long, or you're thinking of going long, it has to open positive. If it opens lower tomorrow and comes back below the 50, kind of, And very, stay long ever since your fry pan bottom breakout. We did CPE. Lev, I don't know why Lev doesn't come up over here. Just won't come up. And I think I wrote it down. Yeah, I did. Comes up on or on TC 2000, but it won't come up over here. Adobe, you just stay long. Notice how when it came up through the 50, you use the 50 as support. I would suspect it's coming back up to this level, the recent highs. And KWEB, if you're long, you stay long, but it definitely want to see this open positive tomorrow. Not so much a scoop as it is a fry pan bottom, but it has that same impression. A flat handle, a scoop, you just stay long on this one. You can go long on this one. CVM, getting a little bit indecisive sideways. It needs to get up through this level pretty quick. Definitely would not want to see it close or even trade back below the T-line. If it did, it just tells you there's not a lot of bullish force there. This one, you just stay long. That's a good steady uptrend. Notice how it moves sideways, moves sideways, moves sideways. Now it told us which way they decided to go, this way versus this way. EVGO, I don't know if that's quite a bullish engulfing. It's okay. It just doesn't have a whole big trend. You can buy this one on positive trading if you like it. NVIDIA still in an uptrend. Just stay with it. Broken out through that level. Alcoa, nothing there yet. If you were short, I would have covered the short today, but now I wouldn't be long or short. No real direction. Matador, you stay long, but you can see a little gap up doji. Still use your T-line as your stop. GNUS, oops, don't know what to tell you there. I'd do your rare research, find out what made it move like that. That's your message. Watch to see if they stop the selling. If you start seeing a green candle, you can be buying. What you don't want to see is it coming back down into this area. That means that's a fizzle. CCI has to open positive and trade positive to stay in it. It was your morning star signal. Rounding bottom, bubble breakout, set up for 200. Well, no, yeah, you still got a lot to go to get to a bubble breakout. Yeah, that wouldn't be the best looking chart for anticipating a breakout just yet. Apple, use the T-line and the 50 as support. Now you'd like to see positive trading. Deva, you can see the bullish flutter kicker, the hanging man. Now you've got kind of a doji sandwich coming up through this area. You can still be buying this one. AHT, nothing there to get excited about. If you were short, I would have covered the short position today. Obviously, Bob, you want to see a left-right combo in the oversold area, or a bearish left-right combo in the overbought. Or if it's starting a pattern, like a J-hook pattern. So you can use it to kind of amplify the analysis of a pattern setup. Look at your little best friend breakout. You just stay long on AMD. Royal Caribbean, another one that if I had been short, I would have covered the short on Friday with the bullish engulfing. left-right combo off the 50. Now I'd be looking for a bullish doji sandwich. I wouldn't be long or short right now on this one. It still needs to confirm by getting up through the 50. And right now there's nothing on Carnival that's following through. Tractor Supply. You can stay long. You can see it ran, that was a bearish left-right combo, but it wasn't quite in the overbought area. I would have probably have closed it out on Friday because of the bearish left-right combo right at that level. Even though it didn't confirm, yeah, I would be, if I was thinking of going long, it would be after it broke out through this area. And Roku, that's kind of a nothing chart. If you're short, you can stay short, but it has to open lower tomorrow. If it opens positive, you can see there's kind of a support area in there. Hoya, that's kind of a nothing chart. I wouldn't be long or short. If you happen to be long with today's doji, it has to open positive tomorrow to stay in it. Green color moving average. This one is the 3 exponential moving average, the 3T line. This is the 34. It works reasonably well enough to, it's not cluttering up the chart any, well enough to have it on the chart. And that one you can get ready to buy. Lots of dojis right here at the 200. Then your hammer. So you could be buying this one. Just watch to see what happens once it gets up here. Now, if I'm correct, it should be paying a pretty good dividend. I know, I don't know why Lev doesn't come up over here, but that's just kind of a quirky thing of different chart softwares. That for some reason there's an occasional one that doesn't come up. Winnebago, Winnebago, you just stay short. That was a strong indication that the bears were definitely in control. Stay short, watching to see what it does right here. Joseph, it just acts as a, you can see right here where they use the 34. It's one of those moving averages that if it works well, keep it on your charts, and it works well enough to have on the charts. If you put on something on the chart that doesn't seem to enhance any of your analysis, take it back off. The more clear that I keep these charts, the more emphasis is still on what is the signal, where are the stochastics, and how far away are you from the T-line. AMRS, all you can do here is stay long. Got kind of a shooting star. Still use the T-line as your stop. I would watch to see how Bloom opens tomorrow. This one, I would suspect, would have a 45 degree. GRNQ. That's your message. Fry pan bottom, breakout, wait to see when the selling has stopped. SOSM, yeah, same scenario. Now remember, on a message, you don't want it to get back down into the trading range. That when it does that, that just tells you that was a pop that didn't work. It needs to stay up above the trading range. There's a nice bullish engulfing fry pan bottom. You could buy this one. Just make sure it gets through the 50. JP Morgan. You stay long. Kind of a bad hair day today with a dark cloud. Stay long as it doesn't close below the T line. GGAL, that's a nice little J-hook pattern. I don't know how these get back on here. I wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one on positive trading tomorrow. Unisys, stay short. PT only pays a 2% dividend. That's surprising. I thought they paid a fairly hefty dividend, like an 8.8. Maybe that's why it's trading down here. 34, yeah. Fibonacci. BKTT. I'm a BKTT. That's a nothing chart. If you were looking for BKKT, then that's a lap. This, all you can do is trade. Again, if you were in this one and it opens down tomorrow, close it out immediately. You can always buy it back when it comes up to that level, to the close of today. Fuel cell. Right now, there's nothing on that chart. You shouldn't be in it. Notice when it went up big, it did a bearish Harami. Where was it telling you it was going? Back to at least the T line. I wouldn't be long or short this one right now. Jay, yes, that's what usually kills a good price move. Is they get a big move, and then they announce their shelf offerings, which takes a little bit of wind out of the sails. And they'd rather do it when there's a lot of wind in the sails. BT or BPT, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It pays all right, stay safe yourself, Bill. All right, everybody. Nothing yet changing the investor sentiment. There's a lot of backing and filling that's going on, which is good. It means there's not exuberance in this market. So with that, we'll see everybody bright and early tomorrow morning. We'll see you then.